I am woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman? That's me, Maya Angelou. Welcome to this segment of the Afrocentrist podcast, The Woman, Her Story, and Her Impact, where I get to speak to women from across the globe, sharing their stories and how they are impacting their world. Coming to you every Wednesday, 4 p.m. GST. Of course, with your favorite show host, the energetic EJ. So make it a date with me every Wednesday. The Afrocentrist Podcast, proudly African. Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Afrocentrist Podcast, and especially this segment called The Woman, Her Story, Her Impact, where I get to speak to women from across the globe. And today on the show, I have somebody all the way from the US. She's an elderly person, and I'm just, fascinated by her story, and I can't wait to dive in. She's an author, and that's how she impacts our world. And so we're going to be talking about her book, but she's also a relationship expert. So we're going to be combining that because she wrote a book that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But then, she is also a relationship expert. And so we're going to have a look into that. What does that look like? But especially having to hear her story as well. Born in Detroit, Michigan in 1944, Joyce Fields now resides in Arcadia, California. She started her career in 1962 as a stenographer. Joyce and her husband were married on June 3, 1967. They have been together for more than 64 years since they were both 13 years old. They have 2 grown sons, 8 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren. Joyce is the author of 10 books, and she is also a professional proofreader. Her mission statement is, I write books that inspire people on their journey to make the world a better place. Today on the show, I have invited her to speak in her capacity as a relationship expert and share from her book titled, The Best Way to Keep a Man is to Let Him Go. Her books are available at goodshortbooks.com and amazon.com. You can also get in touch with her afterwards, after you get to meet her, at goodshortbooks@yahoo.com. And I'm going to leave all of these details in the description of this video, as well as in the description of the audio podcast. So it's about time that I bring up my guests. So quickly, go grab your cup of tea, cup of coffee, some popcorn, some chips here and there, or whatever healthy snack you have, maybe a banana or an apple. Because I'm really, really considering tilting towards vegan. That's a discussion for another day. But for now, let me introduce or bring up my guest to you. I'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Joyce Fields, also known as Grandma J. On February 4th, I turned 78 years old, and lots of ladies are asking me about my exercise routine. So I decided to do just a brief video to show what I do in my own routine. First of all, I do a stretch every morning when I first get up. You stretch up as high as you can go. Normally, you can get about another inch out of your stretch. Come down, touch your toes without bending your knees. Do at least 5 of those. Come up slowly. Feels really good after you do just 1 or 2.
Hello, Joyce. How are you today?
This is my typical response, EJ. I am too blessed to be stressed.
I love it. Can I lift it?
Yeah, I live that. I'm too blessed to be stressed. My mother didn't worry, and she had 7 babies, and she taught that we learned. She didn't teach it, but we learned it from her. None of us worry.
Absolutely.
We pray.
Yeah, why worry when you can pray? I love it.
That's right.
Awesome. So nice to, finally get to meet you, but at least meet you, like see you basically.
Yeah, this is good.
Going back and forth via email, but it's so great to finally get to see your face.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you for honoring this invitation. And I am just blown away. When I read your profile, I'm like, wait, what? So I want to know, what is the secret? But first, let's get to know you. How old are you now?
I'll be 78 in, well, February 4th.
All right. So what's your favorite childhood memory?
Wow. One of my books is called Line of Serenity. And in that book it's 167 pages, 22 pages of recipes. Food's a big deal in my family, always has been, and 22 pages of photographs. So there's the chapter called The Calm. And I remember, I'm the oldest of 7. We had 2 parents and a Doberman puppy. And I remember the calmness of our home. Having 7 children, 2 parents and a dog. Now, my mother died when she was 64. I was 33 years old. And at the time, I didn't even realize it, EJ, but I was 33 years old and I had never, ever seen my mother upset or angry to the point of just being totally emotional. I had never seen that.
Wow.
And I did not, like I said, I was probably in my 70s before. Yeah, I'll be 78. So I was in my 70s before I realized that I never saw her upset, and my father either.
Wow.
So they did not pass that. You learn to worry. So they didn't pass it on to any of their children. My sisters and brothers don't worry. We just do the best we can, and we realize that we are too blessed to be stressed.
Wow. That is something that is rare. Yeah.
I didn't realize that as I was growing up. But the calmness, I'm the oldest of 7, like I said. I was always on the honor roll. So therefore I had to block out all the you couldn't ask 6 kids to be quiet. So I had to learn how to block that all out. And I was on the honor roll, every report card marking. So I was successful at blocking it out. Probably my most precious childhood memory, the calmness of our home.
That's a good one. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
How did you meet your spouse?
Okay, that's also an interesting story. He's 78 and I'll be 78 in a couple of weeks. So when we were 13, he's always been a very sharp dresser. And it was around Easter time. My brother, who's next to me, he's since passed on. He died in 2013. He had lung cancer. But he found, Pap is my husband's name, so you'll hear me say Pap. He found Pap's socks and tie on the playground. So Pap had lost them. He didn't realize that, so then he brought them home to my mother. And then Pap came to the house looking for his socks and tie. And I was over my aunt's house a few blocks away. And my mother called me and asked me if I knew where they were. And I said, yeah, they were in the buffet drawer and all that stuff. So she got them and gave them to him. So he was really glad to get his socks and tie back. So a couple of days later, he had a paper route, and he was on his paper route. And I don't know how, but we struck up a conversation, and so the rest is history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you just became friends and then that's it. It just morphed.
Yeah. But back in that day, women accepted the fact that men will be men, mess around, because they're socialized differently. And they really are still being socialized the same way now, so they really are being taught to behave the way they do, and women too. So we have to understand the programming that goes on in our lives. But he lived on one street, I lived on the other, and 1 block over, but there were alleys in those days. I don't know if there are alleys nowadays, but and I could look out my window and see him as he was coming home from a date with another girl, So I was maybe about 16, 17 at this time. So, and most of the girls knew that the guys had other girlfriends. So, and I was no different. And so I would watch out the window, especially in the summertime, because, summer school was out.
Yeah.
And when he'd come home, I would call him on the phone. So the last person he talked to was me.
Wow. Okay. I love that. You can play that game. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I'm sure we're going to delve into it a little bit more because of the specific title of that book we're looking at today. But let me ask one more question, then we go in. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be? What do you want to be remembered for?
I honestly try to follow the golden rule all my life. That's what I want to be remembered for. I always try to treat people the way I would want them to treat me. And that's what I want. I'm teaching that to my grandkids and my great-grands. So I have a book called The Limitless Golden Rule, 21 Ways to Use the Golden Rule in Your Life. Wow.
You're such an exciting human being.
Well, thank you.
Wow. I feel like you'd have a very, very subtle sense of humor. And I just can't help but imagine you with your grandkids and your great grandkids. That would be a lovely sight to behold, really. And it's just a pleasure to meet somebody, like you who have all these beautiful things. I mean, things that matter. I love the fact
yes.
Even with the number of the size of the family that comes, it's priceless. You can't buy that. You can't buy that anymore.
No, you can't. And we have, like I said, I'm the oldest of 7, and my other brother died. But every other Sunday, we have what I call Sibling Sundays on Zoom.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, because I'm in California. Most of my siblings are in Michigan, and then I have one brother who lives in Massachusetts. So we all, and on August 1st August 1st last year was the first time that I had seen all of my living siblings at one time on Zoom. Made my whole year. Girl, I was so happy.
I know the feeling.
It was so good.
Yeah.
That's the first time, because my brother moved away to Massachusetts about maybe over 30 years ago.
Wow.
So I had not seen him. We do Zoom together, and I do Zoom with all of them individually. But now I want to do a sibling Zoom, and then Papa's in it, and then any of my siblings' kids can join in. Whoever calls in can join in.
It's beautiful. I had one of those on. I have one of that on. I think it was 1st of January. So I can't remember now. Yeah, with my siblings, because I haven't seen them too for a while. And it was just so beautiful. Like, I've been trying, even with Zoom, I'm like, hey, let's have a meeting. But somebody here is having bad network, but this time around, all of us it was just beautiful. I was so happy. Like, just made my ear
oh my God, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's wonderful.
It was beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now let's dive into your book, because I'm speaking to you today based on your expertise as a relationship expert. First of all, what does that mean? What does that look like? Because it could be, you could have said relationship coach, but you said relationship expert. What's the difference? Or what does that look like for you?
Well, to me, the difference is a coach is a person who is with you, and maybe has some videos where they are literally coaching with specific formula and all of that. So a relationship expert to me is a person whose input to others is based on experience.
I know you have 10 books that you've written, and all of them are written across different genres. I think I saw your video of a poem, the collection of poems, and yes. So, but this particular one caught my attention. I mean, because of the fact that, okay, you are the relationship expert and the number of years you've been in the marriage for, and I'm like, okay, I really want to dive in. And because this particular segment on the podcast is geared to women, so it's, talking about that women's story. I'm like, for since I started this particular segment, I haven't really spoken towards relationship. It has often been towards work, expertise, business, but not really relationships. I'm like, okay, let's look at something new. And I love the title of your book. Like, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. The best way to keep a man is to let him go. First of all,
among other things.
Oh, among other things. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's parenthetically. It says the best way to keep a man is to let him go. And in parentheses, among other things.
Other things. How I missed that part out. Okay. So what inspired this particular book?
That's an interesting story as well. Do I have time to read the introduction?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because that'll answer your question.
Okay.
The introduction to this book. The best way to keep a man is to let him go. My late mother-in-law told me that in 1959, when I was 15 years old. At that time, her son, Frederick, everybody calls him Pap, was my boyfriend. I let him go. And on March 31st, 2008, we celebrated 51 years of being together. Then on June 3rd, 2008, we celebrated our 41st wedding anniversary. While my mother-in-law put it into words, I watched my mother put it into action. She let my father go, and they were happily married for almost 35 years until his death in 1974. Let him go doesn't mean I don't care. It means be secure enough within yourself that you don't freak out if he's not with you and you don't know exactly where he is. Let him go means don't try to control where he can go or what time he must leave or return. Let him go means don't try to control him, period. Let him go means don't try so hard to change him. After you have paid your dues, you may tread lightly in this area, but be careful. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. In addition to letting him go, I have observed the need for and used other philosophies and behaviors to help keep me and my man in a warm, loving, and peaceful relationship. My thinking was, he may go, but he will always come home if I make coming home worth it. I had to adjust my glasses. But what kinds of things can I do to make it worth coming home? Well, then it goes into the book.
Wow. That intro is deep. Now I should get the book and read it. I should get it.
Well, yeah. It's only 64 pages, which includes 22 pages of my own recipes. And I'm told that I'm a fabulous cook.
Okay. What's the best dish? Do you have a particular, that one dish like, hey,
honey,
Joyce?
I do. I made it up. It's in the book. It's called Skillet Chicken and Rice. Do you like rice?
Skillet chicken and rice. Yes, I do. Like it.
You like rice? You like chicken?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You like onions?
Oh, yes.
All it is chicken, onions, rice, and chicken broth. Season that chicken and over a bed of onions. I use a whole, girl, I love onions. I use a whole lot of onions. Yeah. And boil the rice in some of the broth. The recipe's in the book. I salivate when I'm mixing.
But the way you're describing it almost sounds like the way we prepare jollof rice. That's what we call it in Nigeria. It's called jollof rice. Yes. But this one, it's like, so you have tomato paste, pepper, onions, then you boil the rice and you use the chicken broth as well. But then it's now mixed together. Yeah. Jollof rice.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I love the introduction of the book. I love it when you said, your mother-in-law at the time, you were 15. She said that, and he said you watched your mother lived it out.
Yes, that's right. And then I wrote the book when I was in maybe like 10 years ago, in my 60s. In my late 60s. So what she said to me stayed with me, EJ.
Exactly. Like,
and I think she said that was for the reason that I was going to write the book.
What made you, hold on to that word so much that, and then it's now a book, it's now a means of which you're able to impact others?
Well, now, EJ, I learned that females mature a lot faster than males do. Now, I don't know where that got lost along the way, but these females nowadays don't seem to understand that principle. So I let him go and do his own thing. And, when we got married, we started going together at 13. He took me to the show. We played baseball on the playground, that kind of stuff. And then we would go to parties that people would have in their yards. And we just had fun. We got married at 23. So we went together for 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Wow.
13 to 23. And I just wanted to show him, he had other girlfriends, but I wanted to show him that I was the one.
Wow. So after marriage, I don't know. I know you said your calm, the calm was something you learned from your own mom, your parents, and how calm you were. But like, is it that he didn't do anything that upset you at all, or you just really, really just shut it out?
No, I didn't shut it out. Not at all. Sometimes we would talk about it, but you have to have inner peace, because without that, I don't think you have anything. I have a tremendous amount of inner peace, and all of my siblings do as well. Remember, I told you the house was always calm, so that's what we learned. And my parents were not wealthy at all. My father was a factory worker, and my mother didn't work for most of her life, her married life. And then we didn't have a lot of stuff, a lot of material things, but we had so much love and affection and attention, all the good stuff, so we were taught to focus on our inner selves, not our outer selves. And that's where I think a lot of females go wrong. How would you like to be in a relationship with you? How would you like to be married to you? Are you the argumentative type? Well, what would you want a man that's an argumentative type? So don't be that kind of thing. Don't be what you don't like in other people.
I see. So what are, among other things, what are some of those other things that you mentioned in the book to make him stay?
One of the chapters is remember that you have faults too.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. When I used to go to the beauty shop every other week, and women would be in there, they would be talking about their men like dogs. I could not believe it. I would just be sitting in the chair listening to what they were saying. And I said, oh my God, why are they saying that to a whole beauty shop full of women? They just, but now, see, they're perfect, you see. The man doesn't have to put up with any stuff from them. Just they have to put up with the man stuff. So that's not right. Remember that you have faults too.
Faults too. That you're able to say, okay, how can we fix it? So what would you say is your top go-to strategy to resolving conflicts? Okay, so when there are, things that happens in the relationship that upset you, what is your one go-to thing that you're able to apply, to resolve conflicts?
I disarm him. You should disarm a person
How do
before
you disarm?
you disarm them. You just
Oh.
you say things like, now don't get upset, because I'm getting ready to tell you something that will probably blow your mind, but don't get upset. I'm just the messenger.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are a whole number of ways that you can disarm somebody.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure that understands.
Did that answer your question?
Well, yeah, that's a good one. So you discern and just give them an idea. Like, I'm gonna say something, but don't be upset. What if it's somebody who is, I don't know if you have been, because the way, you said it, you've always been around calm people, your family members are calm. So what if, for now, where we have a lot of people with anger issues or very hot-temperedness, what would happen, What would you say to a woman who is speaking to somebody who is hot-tempered and you can't disarm them, or you don't know how to disarm them? What should she do?
Well, that's a whole different question. My late mother-in-law had a saying: you got to stop them while they're on stopping ground.
Okay, where's stopping ground?
Like the first time they do it, or maybe the second time they do it, or maybe you'll stretch it to the third time they do it. But you just tell them how it makes you feel. You don't get mad and cuss them out or throw them out or things like that. Tell them how it makes you feel.
That brings it back to communication. Like
Yes.
I have always just thought of it, or like also coming into it, to realize that communication in relationship is very, very, it's like the cornerstone that keeps the relationship working. That even shows that the both parties in the relationship are willing to work at the relationship.
Yes.
Because if there is no communication, then there is no dedication, then there is no commitment, really.
Yeah. And not only, I think the big thing is, if you can't take it, then don't dish it out.
I hear the golden rule around everything you say.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Like it is you. It's like you're not just saying it, like it has become you. I hear it every point you give, it just keeps going back, and that's awesome. That's consistent.
Yeah.
Looking good. Thank you so much, Joyce, for being here. Your what would I call it now? Your energy it's just calm. Like, I feel the calm you talk about. I feel it.
Oh, wonderful.
And easy. Like, you're just easy going, and that's something to be grateful for. I really want to wish you a happy 78th birthday.
Yeah.
Whoa,
and don't forget, now you can go get the books at goodshortbooks.com.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm going to put the details of that in the description of this video. What would be one last word that you would like to tell to young couples out there today? Okay,
this is going to be quick, but I don't know if everybody realizes that we all are conceived as female. That's why men have nipples. They're useless. For real. That's for real, EJ. That's the truth. They don't have, they don't develop breasts and milk and all of that. That's why they have nipples. All of us are conceived as female. So I figured that it takes the males longer to get their junk. But the females, we are ready out the gate. from the conception. But the males, so I thought about that. I said, now, if it takes them longer to get their stuff to turn into a male, it's probably going to take them longer to do everything.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, not just, not so much everything, but maturity-wise, That's what I'm talking about. So maturity-wise, like, females males need to have time to grow up.
So you need to remember that as a woman, that men need time to grow up. So
that's what I was always taught. So I don't know if it's still being taught today or not. Based on what I'm seeing, it's not.
Not looking like it.
They expect a man to say I do and immediately jump into being a good husband. Ooh-wee.
Oh my goodness. This is interesting. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I hope that you've really had fun, listening to Joyce speak from her experience. I mean, not every day you come, across older people who are still open to sharing and actually just, being a source of inspiration to anybody who cares to listen. And I hope that you have been inspired by Joyce's story here. Take life easy, be calm, learn to be peaceful, your inner peace, not to negotiate. Because once you have that inner peace, then it's able to spread outside and nothing can really tamper with you on the inside because you're able to control or give that boundaries to say you can't get in here. And so that, that kind of makes you stick to your philosophy of life. And hers that she shared is the golden rule: do to others what you want done to you. And you can hear it all over, her talk today, just being calm. So if I do not want to be a troublesome, if I don't want a troublesome partner, then I shouldn't be a troublesome person, right? So thank you so much. Until I come your way again next time with another guest from another part of the world, speaking on another topic, but with the, focus on their story and how they are impacting their world. I am the energetic EJ, and I'm saying, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.